Getting to this moment right here has been such an act tonight. I can't even begin to tell you. My main microphone suddenly died. Both the batteries in my B cam and my main camera have been dead, and I just haven't been able to make this video. And yet I will get this upload up on Sunday, even if the video's not that great, because the topic for today's video is consistency. And I have to be consistent on the day in which I'm talking about consistency. An entrepreneur and comedian that I deeply, deeply admire is Jerry Seinfeld. Even though I don't think he's that funny. If you've seen some of my recent personal development skit videos, you'll probably get the sense that my sense of humor is actually quite crude. And my favorite comedians are the likes of Bill Burr and Andrew Schultz. But I really admire Jerry Seinfeld because of this story. Some time ago, there was a young comedian named Brad Isaac, and he ran into Seinfeld at a comedy club. And he actually managed to get a question in with him. He said, "Do you have any tips for a young comic?" And Jerry Seinfeld simply said this: "To be a better comedian, you need to tell better jokes. And to tell better jokes, you need to write every day." And so he told Brad Isaac, he said, "Get a calendar that has every single day of the year in it, 365, and simply put a big X next to every single day in which you have written. It can be as little as 5 minutes or up to an hour, however long it is, but you have to write every single day." And what happens is, after a few days, you'll see this streak build up, and your job is simply to not break the chain. That has been the singular key to my success, is not letting the chain break. And there is something so beautiful about this story, because it speaks nothing to results or trying to get outcomes. It speaks nothing to that. It's purely devoted to the action. And in this sense, it actually ties in very closely to the ideas from Stoicism and even from my own religious tradition. The Bhagavad Gita speaks so much about renouncing the fruit of the action and simply putting everything you have into the action. Put your soul into the action as if it is the very last thing you are going to do, and renounce the fruit of the action. Come back to the action and show up to it every single day. Now, Jerry Seinfeld obviously had a certain amount of talent, and that carried him a long way. But I wouldn't say that he's probably the most talented comedian in the world. I'm sure there are numerous comedians who are far more talented than Seinfeld, whose works haven't seen the light of day. And the reason for this is they weren't able to show up to that work with deep consistency. If you want to be a comedian of great acclaim, the one mini habit that could propel you there, even though it doesn't seem that impressive, is to write for 30 minutes every day. Every single day. This isn't the sort of advice that you would get from a motivational video on YouTube. Those always speak to the power of intensity. You have to really go for it. You're broke, you've got to put everything into what you're doing. Simply showing up in a very unintimidating, steadfast way. The power of that over 10 years, over 15 years, is profound. If you have even a little bit of talent in the field that you're trying to pursue, perhaps the result would come about faster. But as someone who doesn't consider himself that insanely talented in the field that I'm most interested in, which is acting, this is a really comforting idea. The fact that you don't have to be amazing. If you keep showing up, and if you keep showing up every single day, things can get insane. Warren Buffett had said something very similar when he was asked in an interview panel, should people go to business school? And he said, "This is not a complicated business, it's simply a disciplined one. You don't have to do anything too intellectually demanding. You just have to follow certain principles and follow them for a long time. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world." And so a great question to ask yourself is, what is the mini habit, the cornerstone habit that doesn't capture intensity, but rather can be captured by consistency? What are the habits that I can use by which I would show up every single day to? What could carry me in the direction of the things that I want over the long haul, over a long period of time? You can accomplish so much that seems closed off, that has a barrier to it. It can be overcome when you have a degree of consistency with those keystone mini habits that could get you there. Writing 30 minutes a day could turn you into a comic of great acclaim. Because even if you're not talented at writing, if you wrote 30 minutes every day and you try to come up with the best jokes you had, and you would research and try to see what other comics are doing as inspiration or to follow certain metrics or guidelines, if you actually did the work to try to become a better comic in only 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes of sitting down, researching, and writing. If someone else is talented and you're not, maybe they'd get there in 3 years and you wouldn't. Maybe it would take you 5 years. Or if you're especially unfunny, maybe 15 years. But if you were to sincerely write for 30 minutes every single day, even if you're the least funny person in the world, it might be extremely difficult to not come up with jokes that are hilarious. You would have definitely one 60-minute set that would be ridiculously good because you wrote every single day for such a long duration of time. And so while talent is a wonderful thing, most of us haven't been blessed with like a world-class level of being able to come up with jokes or being really good at acting or singing. But what we do have access to are those unintimidating little disciplines, those mini habits that can carry us into ridiculous, exciting new ventures. And for those of us who are willing to honor those mini habits, whatever they might be in your terrain, your industry, to us I say, greatness is definitely coming. I'll see you guys Wednesday. Cheers.